Yo, it's Heck One, Miami Graph Pioneer. Welcome to Wynwood Mural Fest.
What's up, world? I'm Alan Kedger coming live from Wynwood, Miami.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bjorn.
My name is Adrian Avila.
Hi, my name is Yasha Young.
What up? This is Risk, my studio here for the Wynwood Mural Fest.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robert de los Rios.
Hey, I'm Lars from Copenhagen.
Guys, I'm Stapleton.
Hi, this is Dave from Power Out Rotterdam.
Jack 6.
Hi, this is Lee from Global Street Art in London.
This is Macro.
What's up? This is Stefan.
I'm Ralph McDaniels.
This is Marcos from Vermont now in Amsterdam.
So Rise, welcome to Wynwood Mural Fest 2020. We're out here setting it off right. Stay tuned.
Yo, it's Heck One.
What's up, guys? I'm Lee Stapleton. I'm the founder of Paint the City Peaceful, and I'm here in Los Angeles. Thank you for having me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robert de los Rios, founder of the Raw Project here in Miami, Florida, coming to you live from the Wynwood Mural Fest.
Literally, from the time I got off the highway to the time that I made it to my house, coming back into Santa Monica, it was just like, okay, I don't know what the answer is, but like we can do better than this. We can come together as a community and change something about this. And so I got the simple idea, why don't we paint the boards? People in hurricane country, right? You know, go away, whatever, stay strong. So that kind of just clicked for me. And I shared that idea on my Instagram, just my personal Instagram account. I tagged a friend in that post, said, hey, do you want to help, you know, put something like this together? Spencer, he's another one of the co-founders. And then I tagged a kind of like a local news account, Santa Monica Problems. and Santa Monica Problems reshared it, and then it went into that viral circle. So from Tuesday morning at about 10 a.m. launching an idea via an Instagram story, by that night we had more than 100 artists and literally hundreds of community members like, hey, I want to help, how do I get involved? So that was Tuesday, and the 3 days that followed were super lightning speed. We put together just literally a shoestring team of friends and partners in the community. We're all kind of from like the arts and entertainment production background. So it was a natural, fit that way. But 3 days later on Saturday, we had a couple thousand people show up to Santa Monica. We had paint donated. We got more than 150 community murals installed in that one day. And we did it all without city approval or police kind of forewarning. We didn't want to tell the cops, like, I'm not going to call the cops in my own party. So what we did was work with the former sheriff of Los Angeles, who's a friend of mine, Clyde Terry. And he now does kind of like a peace partnership thing. So there's members of the Los Angeles community that are trained in creating peace in demonstrations and kind of large group gatherings. So we actually got like our own team of peace leaders together. And then when the cops did show up, I was on point to work that out with them, just using communication and inviting them, giving them a paintbrush as well and saying, how can we have this be available today in Santa Monica? So it's Saturday morning.
Yeah, can I ask you something about that? Did you get any pushback from people like, oh, how can you bring the cops in and all that shit? Or like, did you feel a change of vibe, or did it all just blend in?
It's and I can't make this up. It was one of the most beautiful days I think I'll ever experience, the way things came together. So we pull up on the block in the middle of Santa Monica Saturday morning at about 7 a.m. And we've got a crew of people setting up pop-up tents, putting out cans of paint, right, putting out tables. And this lady just bikes by and she pulls over her bike and she says, hey, what are you guys doing over there? Like, what's going on? I'm the city manager of Santa Monica. So I ran over and I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, look, it's just really dark here and we just want to paint it. And, we've trained people in peacekeeping and we're going to promote peace all day. It's not a divisive thing. We're just trying to transform the community and kind of reclaim the movement and positivity around the efforts at that time. And Kathleen, our girl at Santa Monica, was just like, that's amazing. You guys now have a blanket, you can do whatever you want in Santa Monica. You can paint every building. And we had literally at that time had approval from like 20 business owners. So she basically just gave us the keys to the city. And from there, that included the police not coming into conflict with us, but actually blocking out the roads and keeping people safe throughout the day.
Yeah, so we're not helping you. which is amazing.
Yeah, and that was really, really powerful. We had police and fire department members painting with the community members throughout the day. And it was completely because we're not saying we should do this or that. We're just trying to take our own community here, start with what's right in front of us, like point, see, and change it and do better. And everyone's entitled to a paintbrush here today. So, I mean, it was amazing. And it was, I think, for me and for a lot of people, like the first time that we got to feel good in 2020. And then having art there, as you know, like it keeps that feeling alive. So I think it really made a kind of pivot point in the story about the summer in Los Angeles of how it was going to go. It gave a lot of energy back into the movement and further, you know, demonstrated to the world that we can peacefully gather at all after the riot. So it was cool. And that's how Paint the City started. And now we've done a couple of different activations, panels. We just did we did a painting on the Beverly Center, which is like a gigantic mall with like the Gucci store and all those fun things in it. And that actually was the first public retail center in America that took kind of a public stance of solidarity with the efforts. So yeah, that's a bit about me. We basically are just trying to invent a narrative here, like a third option in the either or, and we're trying to be that and space for Paint the City.
So what do you guys do with I see the one behind you is one of your pieces, I'm assuming, or yours?
This yeah.
Like what are you guys doing with the boards after? Do the owners keep them? Do they toss them? Like, do you have an agreement with the city to like destroy them so that, you know, I don't know. I'm just wondering what happens to all this stuff after.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the thing. So it happened again, like 3 days, like Woodstock style. Like we just stayed up really late and got it done. And then the after part of it obviously wasn't organized because there had never been a community painting this big in this area, let alone done by so few people. So we have probably like 70% of the art in warehouse, keeping it. There's the national galleries are, you know, starting to look at how to capture 2020 and all the art that took place. So we'll work with them next year to install that. And then through this platform, we're hoping to start auctioning off prints of it and just kind of driving interest around it while we figure out a permanent placement.
Nice. A lot of it was just luck, man. Like I was around a lot of the right people at the right time as far as getting to where I'm at now. And I think the majority of it, you know, just me being, I don't know, very lucky to be in, you know, without a family or no kids or nothing right now, just because, you know, when all of this started happening here in Wynwood and Miami, I'd say like officially about almost 15, 16 years ago, as far as people started really coming here, but, or maybe a little bit more, but, you know, it just, every day more and more people kept coming and painting, and the businesses started taking over and started realizing, holy shit, this is something that actually fucking works, you know? And, you know, so it started heading towards that direction where artists that have built this place now all of a sudden are getting, not that, I'm not gonna say that they're getting kicked out, but they're not getting the respect and the guess credit is the right word, I guess, that they deserved, you know? And it's just something that, you know, it's like this neighborhood from 29th to 36 is houses, mostly houses and neighborhoods. Then from 29th to 20th is that industrial area or Wynwood where everything is painted, you know? And one side, on top of the fact that now all these big companies and big developers are coming in and taking advantage of this and not paying the artists anything and just selling it for an enormous amount of money, on top of that happening on this side, nothing was blending in the resident side. So it wasn't really meshing, you know? And I just found myself in a position where I had been taking pictures, documenting what's been happening here for a few years now, and all of my friends kept getting screwed over. So we just started, you know, I guess ganging up and making sure that companies paid these people the respect that they deserved and started getting paid gigs and all that stuff. And then one day, one of my friends that is in this neighborhood, he called me and said, the middle school that's down the street, the one with the massive, beautiful concrete walls, They want you to go over there and talk to them because they're thinking about bringing maybe an artist in at some point to do something with the kids or whatever. So I'm, of course, why not? Let's go head out there and talk to her. And I mean, this is one of those buildings that you look at, and whether you're an artist or you're around them and you're a curate, you look at it and it's just, I mean, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. It is, if you saw this school, there's not a single artist that didn't paint the school, that didn't touch the wall and say, this is the smoothest wall I've ever painted in my life. So even from before we did anything, it looked incredible. But it was the middle school in Wynwood, and you hear about the demographic and like how shitty their education is because they don't have anything. They don't have funding for anything. This is a school that when we went and the principal was talking to us, she gives us a tour before we talk anything out, and she shows us this is a school built for 1,500. There's just over 500 kids. There's 2 massive art classes in there, right next to each other with in between both classes, there's an outdoor patio where they could paint outside and everything. I mean, it's an unbelievable building. No teachers. Right. All the equipment you can get, but they have no money for teachers. Amazing dance room. Huge floors, boards for dancing, and the big mirror on the corner, bars on the walls, no teacher. Same thing with music. This is not an exaggeration. It was a room with about maybe 30 brand new keyboards, untouched, unused, all full of dust because they don't have teachers. Sports, no teachers. Drama, no teachers. The school was a representation of what's going on in this fucking country in poor neighborhoods. I think when you leave Miami, it gets poor as pretty much all white, black, brown, whatever. Here in Miami, it's mostly black and brown kids and black and brown schools, that are overlooked because it's just our demographic down here. And, it was just a travesty to see all this happening, and then all of a sudden I'm getting to the school all excited because, we paint walls in this neighborhood and we bring artists to paint these walls, and I realized how full of shit we were because that's just 5 blocks away and all this money's happening over there, and yet here in this school with the kids that actually live in this neighborhood, kids that actually sleep down the street from here, that they have parents that either aren't home or dead or, just not making enough money. And here we are boasting about this incredible art town just 2-3 blocks away. Mm-hmm. So that's when we brought the idea to her, say, look, if you, this is in March 2014, if you let me, we'll bring artists that come from all over the world, plus the ones here in Miami, and we'll just paint up the school. We'll pay for everything. Like, you don't have to pay a cent. The idea is to bring money for you. Like, we'll find a way to pay for it. I also understood at the time that these artists are coming to Miami anyway, so I didn't have to worry about transportation. I didn't have to worry about putting them up in anything yet. It was just an idea of getting them a project that was going to look good for them as well. But the idea at that point was, let's fix this school. Let's see what we can do for this school. We had no clue what was going to happen with this project. If I told you this was the plan from the start, that we were going to paint schools every day, that's total bullshit. That's never true. It was like, okay, this is going to look great for the school. It's going to look good for the kids that are going to want to come here. The neighborhood's going to look good. And hopefully we can get more money into the school. And getting more money into public schools, it's attendance, it's enrollment. So you get more kids, you get more funding. This school is losing kids by the semester. So remember, school of 1,500, just over 500 kids. Mm-hmm. So March 2014, I leave that meeting with my partner at the time, and I just started calling everybody. Everyone I knew. I started reaching out to artists that I loved, that I never got to work with, but knew who I was, I guess, because of the pictures that I had been taking and all that stuff. And not a single one, like not one artist, asked me how much or what do we get. Like, it was unbelievable. And if I give you a list of the artists that painted that school, you would think that a lot of these people would be like, all right, well, I'm worth this much, or hey, I'm valued at this much, and not one ever asked. And they all understood the idea because no one's taking any money from this.
Right.
One person bitched about it, like sincerely. No artist complained, no artist. Even when, we had a day where 4 out of our 5 lifts broke down. And these are artists that are painting 50 feet high. No one bitched about it. They just understood, okay, let's go, let's work together. What can we do? You have the lift for an hour, we have it for an hour. Like, it was just an amazing way everybody came together. The way we raised money was walked from business to business in Wynwood and pretty much guilt tripping them, telling them, hey, you've made money here for years. I'm only asking for $500 to fix the school down the street from your neighborhood. you know? And them, I guess a lot of them understanding, I mean, if our schools are better, our neighborhoods might be better, you know, and the kids will get an education, they'll walk through here, they'll feel good. So that's just what happened, man. And when Basel came, we had the 40 artists that were scheduled to paint, come and paint, and by the time we finished 2 weeks later, we had 77 artists come and paint the school. Raw started as reimagining the arts in Wynwood, but then we got lucky, another situation of luck. Wynwood worldwide, so we can keep it as Raw. The idea is to just paint any school, and right now, hopefully we can pick up. I still have schools that are making sure we're still doing something soon that are the local schools that we were going to work with this year anyways. But it's a concern, only because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where we're going to go right now. I don't feel good bringing people into a school right now. I don't feel good. I know a lot of people are getting over it and kind of forgetting that something's fucked up is happening right now. We had a record deaths today, the highest amount of deaths in the entire pandemic reported today. And I don't know how to feel about bringing, you know, and then on top of that, these aren't schools that are well off, you know, they don't got families that have insurance, they don't got families that have medical, you know, they don't have that. A lot of these kids live with their grandparents, you know, they don't have parents. So I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know, I'm kind of waiting to see what happens with these vaccines and shit. On top of that, a lot of our artists come from out of town. Like, this is not just a local thing. I don't care for it to be a local thing. I love a lot of artists that are from here, but no, I want this to be a great artist thing, a great person thing, you know, people who are amazing artists and amazing people. I don't give a shit if you're from here or from, you know, Greece. So, you know, not being able to bring people in to be part of this, you know, it hurts it, I think, a little bit. I think it hurts the idea of what this is about, you know. We have, you know, artists that make such an impact on these kids that come from all over the world. It introduces people from all over the world to these kids that might not even have heard of their city or their country or heard that accent or see if, you know, what they look like, or like, who knows? Like, you're talking about kids that are 6 years old all the way through 13 years old. They're experiencing people for the first time in their lives. You know, in Miami, we're very lucky here. You see black, brown, white, you see everything here. There are some kids, you know, throughout the country that might not see that, you know. So there were some schools that gave us that idea and spoke to us about that when we, you know, first started talking to them. So hopefully with Raw, we'll be able to get back and working with schools soon again. But I think we're really just making sure we don't bring misery with whatever this comes with, you know. We gotta take this seriously. So, I don't know if that went where you wanted me to take it.
That's great. And so, Lee, I guess I'd ask something similar to you, like where you're in early stages, I guess. I know you just started the nonprofit process of making this like an actual entity. Can you talk a little bit about where you see this going and kind of where you're at now?
Yeah.
And what next steps are?
I was gonna ask you that earlier, like now that there's no riots, or, you know, if there isn't, like, where do you take your project if you're not boarding up stuff because of riots and, you know, hurricanes or anything like that?
Very, very, very awesome question. And I'm really super happy to talk about that, because I think you were getting at it in the beginning too. So the thing that Paint the City represents is this like radical middle ground, and it represents the actual work that is what the world's going to need to put in to make the world work, right? And so I'm somebody that you know, in 2016, living in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco, like, I took to the streets in November and I marched for a long, long time, and I yelled and I was really angry and I was super in a fight about things from my perspective at the time. And all of that marching and all of that fighting left me worn out. And I went into bed and I, you know, hid for 4 years, whatever. I think a lot of people did that. And I realized that being in a fight with anything and acting when you're compelled by a fight-based narrative, it's really good for drawing a lot of energy quickly, but it's not sustainable. We didn't see marches for 4 straight years. They were in moments. And so what I try and do, my background is in marketing, and it's always been in that, how do I create that middle narrative? What's the inefficiency? What's the blind spot here? What's the bridge that doesn't exist? And in Paint the City, when we started it, we didn't start Paint the City in a fight. There were enough organizations that were in conflict. You should do it this way. You should do it this way. Paint the City just said, hey, we're trying to create peace here today, period. Like, that's all that we're here to do, is create peace, and we're going to be painting about themes of equality. And so what we introduced at that time, that's gotten proven to work over and over and over again now, and is what is propelling our platform ahead so quickly, is that we introduced it through, like, it's not related to a temporal event. We're not fighting with anyone. We're here for everyone. I think every human shares this vision of, we just want a world that works, and where people are working together. And so it's not coming at it from, you know, it's the artists or the corporations. We come at it from, it's the artists and the corporations. And let's get everyone at the table and sit down and say, how can we do better? And so I think that keeps Paint the City on track, and able to mobilize in different areas that maybe some of the more kind of fight-based efforts this year haven't been able to gain traction with, now that the election is over and there is no quote-unquote fight from you know, half of the country. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, let me ask you something about, you know, the people who work with you and attend you. Do you find it that it's mostly people on one side of the political spectrum?
Well, you know, we're local here in LA, so I think, yeah. Just, you know, it's an echo chamber, but we're ready to get out, and our message has been picked up nationally because it's not us or them. It's an everyone. I'm from North Carolina. I'm from Chapel Hill in North Carolina, which is like a bubble, right, of a place, and lots of conflicting narratives around it. So I'm experienced, and our team is experienced in driving narratives through kind of conflicting interests. So quite honestly, have not had, we had like 4 or 5 negative Instagram comments after our June launch. And that was the last of the negative comments that we've had so far. Because we're not interacting with what is going on today. We're not on anyone's team. We're not even really talking about the game of today. What we at Paint the City look at, and what our projects disseminate, is the ideation around creating a world that works. We know what a world that doesn't work looks like. It's what's going on. It's what's been going on. And we get it. Like, we live there, right? But tell me, and honestly, like, ask people this question: what does it look like when it actually works? And not answering that question, and it should be more of this or less of that, or these people shouldn't be there. Like, just from scratch, what does that look like? And so I think when you ask people and work through that perspective, where you're really just creating the future together, people are engaged and feel like they can have a voice. And then from there, it's our job to listen. The comments that we have gotten that were negative, we listen to them. One of the artists on the Beverly Center project, Shows Art, he reached out after our Santa Monica event and said, hey, you know, I think I see what you guys are doing. I have some problems with it, but I want to hear from you about it. And so he actually asked us the question, which is important, like, what was your intention? And then we heard his intentions, and then we said, okay, well, you know what, you're so right. Like, how can we work together and get your voice out there? So I think coming at it from, like, everyone's part of this conversation. There's 7+ billion people on Earth. We all are, you know, foreseeably going to be on Earth next year. So what would it look like if we work together? I think that solves a lot of bridges. And listening, like, just straight up listening helps too.
As far as that, like, are you the curator? Like, you pick the artists, or was it something where, hey, look, this is what we're doing, just show up and grab a brush? Like, what are you gonna do moving forward?
Santa Monica was like straight up, literally like the most grassroots, straight up like a Woodstock style. We had what we had, and then we ran out of it within 5 minutes, and we're like posting on Instagram, like bring your own brush. We're like making runs to Blick, they're throwing and stuff. Like that was just like, we just told everyone, please do not mess this up, F this up for the world right now. It's really important that you don't. And then from there, work with each other. Now, since then, we've curated the pieces, we curate the artists, we go through a selection process where not only do we make sure their art is going to fit, but just kind of like their ethos and their alignment with our intentionality at the project, because it is really different. It's not, we're going to drive this point home. It's, we're going to create something that literally hasn't existed before together through art. That's kind of like the most important thing.
Nice. Do you find yourself being more strict as to what you choose or who you allow to come on board and stuff like that? And what is that based mostly, like on their work or their personality, or both?
Both. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think like I would be kind of an asshole to say that somebody's art is better than another's. Like, art's art. And you want to make sure that the person doing it fits. And so it's going to jive. So I think in terms of strictness, like, are we increasing like the VIP-ness of the artists? Sure, there's VIP artists that we work with now because the message has gotten spread so far, but we're super like, this is on wood behind me, right? Like, we're here for the grassroots because that's where like the narrative of the country is getting created. So we're very much involved with like grassroots artists, giving artists their big breakout moment. Yeah. Bringing up to that scene is our goal. It's just to give voice to more people.
Like you come to be chopped, can't possess up, born to be free. But me feel like you're born just for me. This I want a universal thing. This I want make the people them sing sad.